Well, welcome to the talk. This is a good place to network. You know, Comp's IEEE group is cool. What I'd like to do is, rather than show slides about Agile, I'd like to show you how we can use this environment to teach immersively. We're just going to do a little bit of Agile. We're going to do Agile in 15 minutes, and then we'll discuss how well it worked. Could we use this environment to do it for real with a real team? I'm going to use body language. I'm going to walk to the things that we'll talk about. The first thing we do with Agile project management is, pencil and paper. You could take notes. In fact, what I like to do is keep notes on a tool called Etherpad. Right now, it's being bought by Google. What I'm looking at here is something that actually works. This is a tool that was scripted by some Germans that are into Scrum. And what it does is it lets you create a product backlog. For example, I can take this whole thing as a hot requirement. Now that I've positioned the requirement based on its priority, I'm going to type something. So let's say down here, what is to do? We've got two prims here. Let me two stories. So I'm going to move one up.
Just to answer your question, I would say that this particular project, while not necessarily in trouble, certainly is worthy of some attention and some questions as to why more isn't getting done on this.
Exactly. We're flatlining. We're in trouble a little bit because really the rate of progress needs to be down like this. We need to be meeting the slope of that curve because that curve is showing a gradual decrease in the amount of work left. That's how we read the burn down chart. So let's have a Scrum meeting. Every day after we plan, we'll come and have a Scrum meeting. The format of the Scrum meeting is as follows. You answer 3 questions and share the 3 questions. I think I also have it on the wall behind us. We're going to ask, what did we do yesterday, what we finished today, and what blockers stand in your way? For me, yesterday I filled out some paperwork for a new job I have starting at Allscripts in April. I built this classroom in preparation for this talk. Today, I'm going to deliver the forum for Agile Project Management on Distributed Agile. And I'm going to finish a paper for University of Washington, which is sadly overdue. Or that I did not have a texture for one of the signs I needed to advertise one of my sponsors or one of my causes. I like to support virtual ability, and I didn't have a texture to do that. That's an example. Boom, 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 real crisp. Yesterday, today, blockers. What should I do as a good Scrum Master? Pamela mentioned a blocker.
Find out what you can do to help resolve it.
Bravo. Yep, exactly. So, Pamela, would it help if I pair with you and do some terraforming later? So as a Scrum Master, I don't know if I solved her problem, but what I wanted to role play for you and demonstrate is that we wanted to set up some action to deal with the blockers. Matt, would you like to Scrum next, or who would like to Scrum next? Matt, I'll give you a shot.
So what did I finish yesterday? Well, I completed the spreadsheet on Agile education planning that I had due for an executive review on Friday.
Nice.
That came to completion. I tried today to finish the presentation for it, but one of the blockers I have is the person I need to work with just isn't available. I forgot to introduce myself and where I'm from. I'm actually up in New York, about 50 miles north of New York City. Carlos is 50 miles away from me in New York City, so if you feel like taking a trip, you can go get him.
About that lack of sleep thing, one of the Agile principles is a sustainable pace. So we might need, as a team, to look at our velocity and see if we've got a problem. So this chart here shows that you could call it a task board, or you can implement a project management methodology called Kanban, which of course is another Japanese thing. We've listed our requirements in the backlog. I'm going to take one of these stories that's ready to go now, and I'm going to move it to the working state. Maybe Steve and Harold will code on that. You know, I would hope you do pair programming, but you could do inspection if you like. You might do some unit testing on it. And then when they're done with that, they'll move it over to the, some folks that have that test gene. You know, the people that can break things just by looking at it? It's a gift I don't have, but we rely on them on the team. You know, the code's integrated, you know, unit tests run. In fact, what I've done here, and I'll point my little green arrows at it, this light on the wall is significant. It's not just to give you light. What it symbolizes is continuous integration. When we've completed our unit test for the code, we're going to integrate it into the library system. And it will run the tests. If everything passes, everything runs, the test will be green, meaning everything's good to go. But if something breaks, it will actually turn the light red. These little impulses of unit test, pair programming, continuous integration, they may occur several times a day. Our story has been passed by the test team, and it goes then and moves into the done state.
I was reading that some groups really like the idea of the real yellow stickies on the wall, either separate from a computer program or sometimes in addition to the computer program. What's your thought on actually needing real visuals on a physical wall as opposed to some sort of virtual tool like you're showing right now?
Well, I've actually seen companies I interviewed with, namely Eye Contact, they have the physical thing going on. They like it. My thinking is Agile Zen is so simple. Use that. I think when I teach it, I like to have the physical metaphor, but I think that you know, for the real deal, there's so many teams that are smeared across time zones that I kind of prefer a simple, lightweight electronic tool. Now, after we've completed 2 weeks worth of work, it's highly tested, super high quality. In fact, it's ready to go. This box I'm sitting on represents finished product. It doesn't have all the requirements for the release of our software, but it's very high quality. Now that's the end of that simulation of an iteration. I'll show it to you graphically in kind of a slide PowerPoint form. We have our product backlog sorted by business value. We select some for our iteration. We rock and roll on that for 2 weeks. Every day we have that 15-minute Scrum meeting. Say, what do we do? At the end, we have a demo to our customers, and we get feedback. And we use feedback. We rely on that feedback from the customer that says, oh, you didn't understand the requirement. We also have a retrospective reflection, and this is another thing Matt worked on at IBM, does good stuff, to say, how can we improve the process? What could work better? That's pretty cool. That's another way to look at it is in an Agile environment. Monday is for planning. Tuesday through the second Thursday is all the same. They're just engineering days, however you do your engineering. And then Friday is the demo and the retrospective. That, folks, is the 2-day course in Scrum. That will be $1,600, please. You can use products like IBM's Rational Team Concert. We used that when I worked at IBM. It runs on the Jazz platform. You can use RallyDev, which is another, you know, web-based, either software as a service project management tool. You can use version 1, another popular one. Lets you do some neat stuff. And of course, the one I'm using now, because it's $3 a month per person, is Agile Zen. Does this board look a little familiar? Notice that it's has those same columns that we use for Kanban. So I think if we're a distributed team, we can use those flat 2D applications. But for our Scrum meeting, my question for you, my hypothesis, and our discussion point for tonight is, can we operate on global teams either on the phone or better using a virtual environment?